Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped. Julian here for another waiver wire episode, this one for week 5 of the fantasy hockey season. Can you believe it? We're already about to start week 5. Before we get into it, guys, drop a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you do want to take that support to the next level, there's a link to my Patreon down in the description below. Or you can even join right here on YouTube. But if you join the Patreon, you unlock some perks like early access videos and being able to DM with me one-on-one and ask me any questions you have about your fantasy team. Let's not waste any more time now. Let's take a look at the schedule for this week, week 5. On Monday, November 3rd, there are 4 games. On Tuesday, there are 10. Wednesday, 5. Thursday, 9. Friday, 4. Saturday, 13. And Sunday, 8. The off nights are, as usual, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but Sunday is technically not an off night just because half the teams are playing, although there's still a good chance that you might have room in your lineup that day. Just go ahead and check. There's a chance that you do, there's a chance that you don't. Now, who has a favorable schedule this week? Well, the Chicago Blackhawks do because they play on all 3 off days and on Sunday. That's pretty good. 4 games with most likely all of them you being able to fit their players in your lineup. They make for great streamers this week. And then Calgary, San Jose, Seattle, St. Louis, Toronto, and Vancouver also all play on 2 off days, and a lot of them play on Sunday as well. So that's really not bad. And all those teams play 4 games except for Calgary and San Jose, but those teams still have a couple off nights, so they still have decent schedules. And the other teams that are not listed here with 4 games are Anaheim, Carolina, Dallas, Minnesota, Nashville, Pittsburgh, and Utah. Now, the teams with the worst schedules are Columbus and New Jersey, simply because they only play 2 games this week, and they're the only teams that do that. So if you have a lot of players from those teams, well, unfortunately, you might have a harder week. And if you have some really low-owned players from those teams, you could probably consider dropping them as well for the coming week. Let's jump into some forwards that you can consider adding to your team now. And first on the list is Matthew Barzal of the New York Islanders. Now, I want to bring him up because tonight, the night I'm recording this, on Thursday night, he's actually being healthy scratched because he was late to practice, which I think is kind of hilarious. And I probably think it was a whole lot more hilarious if I didn't have him in one of my leagues. But hey, just the way it is sometimes, you get really unlucky. But Barzal has been the Islanders' at least one of their best players so far this year. He's getting top power play time. He's looking good. He's shooting the puck. I think he's going to have himself a pretty solid year. Carter Gauthier of the Anaheim Ducks is having himself a phenomenal year as well and just putting up points left and right. And he's a goal scorer. Frank Nazar of the Chicago Blackhawks, I'm bringing him up for like the 100th time already. This kid just looks so good. Unfortunately, he seems to only do well when he's not in my lineup in the league that I have him in. But hey, he's been phenomenal this year. And yeah, Chicago has all of the off nights this week, plus Sunday. This is a good time to stream a natural center. Next, I was going to have Connor Garland here on this list just because he's been so good. But unfortunately, he got injured. So instead, Leo Carlson is somebody that I have to show some love for because I was pretty hyped on him this preseason, and he's really shown why he was a 2nd overall draft pick this year. So far, he's got 11 points in 9 games, and in his last 4 games, he's got 5 points. He's just absolutely lighting it up. He's getting some great deployment. Unfortunately, he's a natural center, which is probably why he's not higher owned than this. He doesn't really hit or anything, but he's shooting the puck quite a bit, so honestly, his peripherals aren't that bad this year, and Leo Carlson could really have himself a solid fantasy year this year. Then we have an exciting one. William Eklund, somebody who we've been waiting for him to break out for it seems like years now. I know he's still super young, but man, he's starting to go off right now, seemingly scoring goals like every night, just going crazy right now. And while he's not on the top line with Macklin Celebrini, he is on the top power play with him. And if he continues like this, he's going to be a treat to watch for the rest of the season. I don't know what to say, but Justin Brazeau has continued his hot play so far this year. Brazeau has never really been much more than a 3rd or 4th liner in the NHL, and Pittsburgh giving him the opportunity to be a 2nd liner. So far, he's absolutely excelling with it. Now, obviously, the percentages are super inflated, and this is not going to last all year, but as long as this guy stays super hot on that line with Mantha and Malkin, you might as well stream him. Blake Coleman is another guy you can stream this week with Calgary having off nights on Friday and Sunday. He's someone who's actually not doing too bad. He's actually scoring points on a Calgary team that's not scoring a lot of goals, which says something, and his peripherals are really solid. Zach Benson is somebody who I haven't given up on either. He's top line, top power play in Buffalo. Now, he's had a couple of down games in a row here, but I think he's going to erupt this season and have himself a really, really solid year. So he's not somebody I would give up on just yet. Trevor Zegras is someone who's really impressed so far this year. Is he finally going to break out? So far, it looks like yes. He's got 9 points through 9 games, and even though he's playing on what seems like it's probably the third line with Michkov and Dvorak, he's putting up the points, and he's shooting the puck, and even though he's not on power play 1 for whatever reason, it seems like he's still producing. So if you are in a deeper league and he's still floating out there, he could be a decent ad for you. Jimmy Snuggerud is somebody that I like as well. He's back on the top line, which is good to see. But with the injuries in St. Louis, you'd think that they put him back on the top power play, given the type of player that he is. For now, he's not, but it seems like the second power play is probably going to get a decent amount of ice time anyway. So Jimmy Snuggerud could still be really, really solid. And on a week where St. Louis has some off nights, I really don't mind that. And then if he starts to explode, that's really, really good, and you can keep him. Troy Terry is not getting enough love this year for what he's been able to do. He looks great. His deployment is really good, so that helps. But he's putting together a really solid season. 10 points through 9 games so far, and they're giving him just like the best deployment. He's always in the top power play. He seems like he's always on the top line. Yeah, I like Troy Terry quite a bit this year, especially with the coach seemingly loving the guy. Josh Doan as well is having himself a great year, should hopefully gain left-wing eligibility next week if Yahoo stops slacking. Josh Doan is somebody that is getting second-line time with McLeod and Alex Tuch right now, which is a really good line, and he's also top power play, which is where you want to be. And so far, like I said, 7 points through 10 games is not bad. Jaden Schwartz is somebody who's had himself a really, really strong start to the year. And this week, where Seattle has some off nights, I don't mind that streamer. Anthony Mantha is somebody who I suggested last week when he was only 1% rostered, and he shot up now to 11% rostered. But the dude's literally scoring points every single night. And until that line cools down with Brazeau and Malkin, might as well grab him, even if you're in a shallower league than you're used to grabbing Anthony Mantha in, because at this point he should be more than 11% owned until he cools off. Victor Olofsson is also somebody that you have to look at right now. He's playing on the top power play in Colorado. That's where his main value lies. He's like a third liner other than that, but yeah. Being on the top power play with McKinnon is pretty valuable. He did score a hat trick the other night, so people are starting to notice now. I actually had him on this list when he was only 1% rostered. Unfortunately, I'm only able to tell you guys after the breakout, but Olofsson is definitely someone who could have a solid rest of season if he stays on that top power play. Jordan Eberle, top line, top power play, 8 points through the first 10 games, only 6% rostered. Am I missing something? Plus, this week, Seattle has a couple off nights. Seems like a no-brainer ad to me. Dakota Joshua is also a solid ad for the off nights this week. He is playing only on Toronto's third line, but he seems to be getting back to kind of that Dakota Joshua of old, where he puts up a very safe floor with hits every single night. And recently, he's actually been scoring goals, so hey, maybe he can pop 1 or 2 for you this week. Marcus Johansson is quietly having himself quite a good season so far. He's got 8 points through 11 games, and in his last 3 games, he has 4 goals. Any ventures to why he's doing so well recently? Yeah, if you guessed he's on the line with Kaprizov, yeah, it's because he's on the line with one of the best players in the world, Kirill Kaprizov. And when you play with Kaprizov, you tend to do pretty well. And as long as this dude is hot, add him. And he's available in 98% of leagues. Kind of crazy. He's scoring goals left and right, and if he's on that top line, he definitely can produce. Now, I do think that spot eventually goes to Zuccarello, but if the dude stays hot for a while, he's definitely going to be a very, very solid streamer. Andre Burakovsky is a very, very good streamer this week, in my opinion. Why am I so high on a bum like Burakovsky? Well, Burakovsky does play on the top line with Connor Bedard. And recently, he was playing so well that Teravainen got knocked off the top power play in favor of him. Top line, top power play, all of the off nights this week, plus Sunday, seems like a real no-brainer streamer. Lucas Reichel is somebody that you can also look at in Vancouver. Now, before Garland went down, he was playing second-line center with Kane and Besser. He's got some good line mates. Obviously, he's never really proven anything in the NHL, but the dude definitely has the possibility to put up some points next week. Hopefully, he gains that center eligibility. And finally, a little bonus, Maverick Bourque of the Dallas Stars. Maverick Bourque is actually playing on the top line right now with Jason Robertson. On that line, we also have Wyatt Johnston. That ain't bad. Now, he's not top power play or anything like that, but his ice time isn't bad, and he hasn't really done anything yet. But with that kind of deployment and the kind of skill that this kid possesses, I think that he could definitely start putting up some points. In terms of defensemen, Matthias Ekholm has 6 points in his last 6 games while putting up some respectable peripherals, so that's pretty solid. Jacob Trouba is somebody who, since I included him in my last video, has kind of gone off and scored a whole bunch of points. That's not going to be sustainable, guys, but the floor that he gives you every single night with the hits and the blocks and the shots, that is a little bit more sustainable. Sam Rinzel is somebody who I've had here pretty much every single week, but this week especially with Chicago having the off nights, Rinzel is a really awesome pick, and he's somebody that gets to be on a top power play, and whenever you're on a top power play, you definitely have the opportunity to put up quite a bit of points. Justin Falk is now the top power play guy in St. Louis because Fowler absolutely sucked to start the year. Falk isn't doing too bad so far, but last year when he had that opportunity, he didn't do a whole lot with it, so don't expect too much here. Still, it's a decent pickup if you are looking for a power play 1 defenseman. Brant Clark is doing super well. 5 points in his last 3 games, but still no power play 1, and the low ice time that he's getting makes me think that this is probably not sustainable. But if you want to stream the hot streak, I don't mind that. John Klingberg is somebody who's back on power play 1 in San Jose, despite Orlov doing phenomenally while he was gone. He's healthy now, and he's back on that top power play unit, so he definitely can start scoring you some fantasy points. I also like that his first game back, he put up some really solid peripherals. Simon Nemec of the New Jersey Devils has been putting up some really respectable numbers. Like, he's been putting up seemingly a point every couple of games or so. And if you're in a super deep league, you're probably not going to find anybody better than that. Jared Spurgeon, for some reason, is on the top power play right now in Minnesota. Zeev Buium is a better power play defenseman, so I don't really know why they're doing this. But hey, at least for the time being, Spurgeon could have some fantasy value. Nick Seeler is somebody that I also like because Nick Seeler puts up some really, really solid peripherals and gives you a nice floor. And finally, available in 99% of leagues, Alexandre Carrier. And he's playing in the top 4 in Montreal right now and getting much more ice time than he did at the beginning of the year because Caden Gooley is injured. So Carrier is carrying kind of a heavier load right now in Montreal. And he's actually doing pretty well with it. He's really known for the blocks, but he's actually putting up some points as well. Don't think that's going to be sustainable, but hey, if he does get you some points, that's a bonus. In terms of goalies, Jacob Dobesh of the Montreal Canadiens has taken over the crease in Montreal. Do I think this is going to be a season-long thing? I'm not sure yet. I think Montembeault is a really good goalie. Obviously, has gone off to not a great start, and obviously Dobesh is coming off a sizzling hot start. Let's see if that's sustainable, but for now, he's definitely an awesome add, and Montreal is playing really well. Joseph Woll is somebody who's technically still on the injured reserve, but he's eligible to come off now, and he is practicing with the team. He was never injured. He was just dealing with a family matter, so as soon as he's ready, which should be really, really soon, he could start splitting starts with Stolarz. Stolarz hasn't been horrible, but he hasn't been his normal, amazing self, and if they start giving him less starts, he might be able to get back to that, and I'm expecting Wall to get about half the starts in Toronto. Now, Tristan Jarry and Seelovs are splitting the starts 50-50. Literally, every second game they play. So Jarry starts 1, then Seelovs, then Jarry, etc. Both guys are actually playing pretty good, and Pittsburgh's actually winning games, which is kind of crazy, but hey, as long as they are, they're both definitely decent goalies to be owning. John Gibson and Cam Talbot are also somewhat decent goalies to be owning. Detroit is super inconsistent, so it's kind of hard to predict if they're going to suck one night or do super well. But both guys are splitting starts. Jet Greaves and Merzlikins is like in Pittsburgh. They're splitting starts completely evenly. Jet Greaves will get one, then Merzlikins will get the other, and then back to Greaves, etc., etc. And that's pretty much how it's working. They're both playing pretty well. In Buffalo, Alex Lyon and Ukko Pekka Luukkonen, or 6K as I like to call him, are splitting starts. But for some reason, Lyon is now starting his second game in a row for Buffalo, which means that they might be favoriting Lyon in the crease. Now, I've also heard rumors that Luukkonen could be shipped off somewhere like Edmonton. So if you do have Luukkonen, I'm definitely not dropping him right now just because Lyon got a couple starts in a row. But hopefully you also have Lyon. That way you're getting the Buffalo starts. Akira Schmid is a starter right now in Vegas with Aiden Hill gone for multiple weeks. He should be getting pretty much every start for Vegas until Carter Hart's able to join them in December. Darth Vlader of the Philadelphia Flyers. His name is Dan Vlader, but I just love to call him Darth Vlader. He's playing super well in Philadelphia, and for some reason they gave Ersson a couple of starts in a row out of nowhere. But now Ersson is injured, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. Darth Vlader is your guy. Then we have Askarov and Nedeljkovic in San Jose. Now, they did start Askarov 3 starts in a row, but he wasn't particularly great during those starts. I think Nedeljkovic is going to continue to split 50-50 with Askarov, and he's only 2% rostered, so that's not bad if you really do need a goalie getting starts. And finally, for this week specifically, Utah has 2 sets of back-to-backs, which is really good because you can stream Vanacek and get yourself 2 starts, and Vanacek is available in 99% of leagues. And that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I'll catch you all on the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.